Well, you guys asked for it. Here it is, the entire Hollow Earth series compiled into one video on YouTube. And at least now it won't get too confusing. And I appreciate all the love and support on all the Hollow Earth videos thus far. So sit back, relax, and get ready for this crazy theory to take you on a ride. Alright, here's part 1 of Hollow Earth. Oh, let me just move myself out of the way for you. Explorers at the South Pole have reported that after a certain latitude, the sub-zero temperatures suddenly rise drastically, yielding green, iceless land areas and lakes. Supposedly, Earth is a spherical, spacious, planetary body with enormous continent-sized caverns deep within it and large entrances miles across the North and South Pole. They say inner Earth has water, oceans, and luminosity, and that it sustains not only plants and animals, but intelligent life as well. I know it sounds crazy, just put aside what you think you know while we look at the evidence, the scientists, the legends and testimonies on the inner Earth theory and why it could be the most game-changing evidence concealed from common knowledge. Alright, so we had the introduction, here's part 1 of Hollow Earth. Who wasn't taught that gravity is what makes an apple fall? We believed this for roughly 300 to 400 years since Isaac Newton defined it in its relationship to mass. This guy. Well, in 2017, 2 neutron stars collided, proving that indeed it's not a force, it's a distortion in space-time. Now, according to Einstein, an apple falls from a tree because it's responding to the curvature of space-time caused by the planet's mass. There's no attractive force called gravity. That's a massive paradigm shift. So if we were wrong about gravity, could we be wrong about other theories too? Well, yeah, I mean, if gravity is no longer a valid theory and it's used to determine mass and the mass of the Earth is overstated, then it follows that the mass of all the other planets in the solar system are overstated as well. If the Earth is cavernous or hollow, then so is every other planet in the solar system. Now, I am saying if because it is just a theory. Part 2 is next. Here's Hollow Earth Part 2. Some of the greatest scientific minds have challenged the theory of a dense Earth. Around the same time as Newton, geophysicist, mathematician, and astronomer Edmund Halley, he's the guy who predicted the orbit of his comet. He basically said the magnetic anomalies of Earth could be the result of a different composition. He believed that beneath the Earth's crust there was 2 concentric shells, that each region potentially had its own atmosphere, luminosity, and possibly even was inhabited.
Check out this NASA video taken showing Saturn's North Pole, with the exact counter-rotating fields that Halley described. And in this rare NASA video of Jupiter's pole, you can count up to 15 of these counter-rotating cylinders. Halley also speculated that the poles would have access into Earth, and that the aurora borealis was the result of light emanating from this counter-rotation, exactly as it does in the videos of these other planets. Watch this NASA video closely, and you'll see that the australis borealis appears to be clearly emanating from a dark pole.
Here's Hollow Earth Part 3. Back to the video.
Watch this NASA video closely, and you'll see that the australis borealis appears to be clearly emanating from a dark point on the planet. If you overlay a map on the planet, it's exactly at the point of the South Pole.
Then 100 years after Halley, we had Swiss mathematician and physicist Leonhard Euler, who is still considered one of the greatest mathematicians of all time. He also proposed that Earth was completely hollow with a central sun in the center, similar to Halley agreeing that there's openings at both the North and South Poles. Now we can move on to Germany's most influential mathematician, Johann Carl Friedrich Gauss. He stated in the early 1800s, all of our Earth's history, physics, and geography could be explained by Earth being a hollow planet with entrances at the poles. Damn. Hollow Earth Part 4. So you'd think that satellite images of the poles would just completely disprove this, but there's a problem. Well, NASA's images and videos of the poles are very hard to find. Even found there's questionable anomalies, such as ice cover, cloud cover, or simply just getting blotted out. Now in November 1968, there was a satellite photo of the North Pole that was released, and as you can see, there's a large polar opening with no cloud cover. I suppose it could have been photo trickery by satellite images since then, but showing serious anomalies, they do raise questions. Particularly this one from the Russian space station Mir in 1987, showing light emanating from a very mysterious fashion. Then there's images from NASA of other planets, like Venus, Jupiter, the various moons, all showing strange qualities or blotted out poles. Running out of time, like and share for the next one. Hollow Earth Part 5. So why do many images of other planets as well as our own have their poles concealed? Edgar Allan Poe said sometimes the best hiding place is the one in plain sight. Another anomaly in measuring Earth's mass happens when we study earthquakes. Seismograph readings prove Earth does have some density, but not without raising some questions. When an earthquake occurs, the seismic waves are measurable as they spread, then the signals disappear entirely. only to reappear further on, and these shadow zones are to be the result of waves hitting a molten core with complicated mathematics as to why. But even then, there's still many seismograph readings inconsistencies. It's not a tidy science. And this is what it could look like if that was the case. Could it be that the simplest solution is the accurate one? Is it possible that these waves reverberate within a belt-like zone but disappear into caverns or underground seas miles beneath the Earth's crust? Link to part 6 in the comments. Here's Hollow Earth Part 6. In 2014, a team of 20 U.S. geophysicists using seismic readings discovered large bodies of water 400 miles in the Earth. They said the mantle transition zone, which is a rock layer between 400 to 700 kilometers below the Earth's surface, could hold 3 times the amount of water in the world's oceans. One of the teams of scientists said that this is direct evidence supporting the hypothesis that deep Earth contains a lot of water. And modern science cannot confirm the physical structure of the Earth's interior as a fact, and there are many questions about this existing theory. For example, a forming planet has zero gravity in its center, so its mass accumulates where gravitational and centrifugal forces are balanced, creating a sphere with openings at the top and bottom like a hurricane of matter in space, not a solid body. Link to part 7 in the comments. Here's Hollow Earth Part 7. So this energetic flow is a self-organizing system of nature where energy expands and returns to itself, and you see it every day. In apples, oranges, a whirlpool, a tornado. It's in the atom, as well as the galaxy. And none of these are a dense system. So let's consider another possibility. Over millions of years, the planet has succumbed to a combination of forces responsible for shaking it, heating it, cooling it, convection, carving by lava, running water, and glaciers, but also centrifugal forces which create inner spaces in a mass revolving on an axis. What's pretty crazy as well is these natural forces could actually have made the planet more like a honeycomb or a Swiss cheese rather than a perfectly solid rock. Link to part 8 in the comments. Hollow Earth Part 8. So current models of Earth's interior are not fact, they're theories, so let's look at some of the facts that we do know. Every continent has extensive cavernous networks, like Sung Dun Cave in Vietnam, with its jungles, rivers, and space to fit a 40-story skyscraper. And the Kentucky Mammoth Cave in the US, which is even longer than the 400 miles of it that have been explored. So who's to say these type of caverns and caves wouldn't be found at deeper depths? According to the laws of physics, empty spaces are unnatural in nature, so caves will have their own ecosystem and water bodies and plant life, animal life. Even if they extend deep into the earth, they would still fill it with life. Even the most unhospitable depths of the ocean has life forms and creatures that have adapted to the darkness by creating their own luminosity. This is the same fish from Finding Nemo, if you remember when they went super deep and they found that creepy-ass piranha looking thing. It's called an anglerfish. Part 9 up next. Here's Hollow Earth Part 9. Well, as Aristotle said, nature adheres a vacuum. Wherever there's a void, the universe seeks to fill it. So if enormous caverns like we already know of continue to reach deep into the earth, what could be residing in the space miles beneath our feet? Who knows? Since we're prohibited from flying over or seeing the poles, and we're also prohibited from exploring caves without permits or assigned guides, how might we actually know what exists in inner Earth? Interestingly enough, many of these accounts of unique land have been told by very respected and credible people, so let's take a look at history. Almost every ancient culture shares legend about interactions with subterranean races, and now it's clear that some of these were considered purgatory for sinners, attempts to deter people from wrongdoing. But other legends, those about Agartha and its cities Shambhala and Putala, have striking resemblances no matter which continent they originated from. Part 10 next. Hollow Earth Part 10. So, in all these civilizations, they tell of 2 different beings, very tall giants or very advanced reptilian races. So the word Agartha is actually of Buddhist origin, and true Buddhists firmly believe in this subterranean empire, which they say has millions of inhabitants and many cities, including the capital, Shambhala, where the supreme ruler dwells. They believe the Dalai Lama is his terrestrial representative, and his messages are transmitted to the lamas in Tibet. They believe they've been there for thousands of years, sheltering humanity since the terrestrial cataclysms. The Russian artist, philosopher, and explorer Nicholas Roerich published that the Tibetan Lama revealed the capital of Tibet was connected by a tunnel with Shambhala, the heart of this subterranean empire of Agartha, and he said the entrance to this tunnel was guarded by lamas who were sworn to keep its actual whereabouts a secret from outsiders. According to Tibetans, Shambhala is a physical place, but one that has an ethereal nature, given its location inside this evolving planet. Part 11 next. Hollow Earth Part 11. So given our understanding of how matter can be warped in space and time by mass, this could make sense. One Gnostic scholar explains the underworld as a plane between spirit and our reality, an area where the ethers of spirit become nature and nature returns back to spirit, making it both a physical and apparitional realm. In the ancient epic poem, the Mahabharata, the Hindus spoke of Aryavarta, the abode of excellent ones, which was said to be ruled by the supernal race. Speaking of the Nagas, a half-human, half-reptilian species. It's also said that the Nagas possess cutting-edge technology and an unpredictable, sometimes merciless nature known to abduct and torture humans, or other times influencing positive events on Earth. It's also said they inhabited Patala, and perhaps it's not a coincidence that the name of the palace where the lamas guarded, the tunnel entrance is the Patala Palace. It also raises question the motivation that the Chinese government had when they violently overthrew Tibet's peaceful leaders in the 1950s, which overall may have caused close to 1 million Tibetan lives. Hollow Earth Part 12. Another Indian epic, the Ramayana, tells the story of the gray avatar Rama, a blue-skinned emissary from Agartha who arrived on an air vehicle, and these air vehicles were called Vimyanas, which means car or craft of the gods. And strangely enough, flying airships have remained a consistent part of all Inner Earth stories, every one of them. Now, in Africa, a similar tunnel was believed to connect to the secret chambers at the base of Pyramid Giza to the subterranean world, by which the pharaohs established contact with the gods of the underworld. Ancient Egyptian deities like Ra, Thoth, and Anubis, they had some qualities unlike humans. Unique height, skin color, eyes, often avian or bird-like heads. Part 13 next.